Hey guys, I just wanted to share the most recent scene that I've set up, a wintry scene. It's January. I like using, I like going along with the seasons in the game. I think it's a lot of fun when you do that. So it's January, it's winter, so we have a wintry scene, winter scene. And I've utilized stuff that I've crafted, stuff that we had just laying around the house in Christmas decorations. And I also utilized some stuff that I've recently purchased from a thrift store for really cheap. So brought all those things together to make one nice big scene on the big dining room table that we have. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the kids kind of work through each part of the scene. It's kind of like a part A and part B, or maybe even part A, B, and C. So it's a big setting, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun setting it up. I know it's going to be even more fun playing through it. So let's go to the table and check it out. Hey guys, so as you see, I'm utilizing my wife's, but our Christmas Village figures that she's accumulated over the years, and it's actually working pretty well. The figures are a little bit too big, but not by much. They're real close to scale, so I'm pretty happy with that. The buildings are a little bit under scale. They're a little bit small, but that's okay. They're really, all this is symbolic, especially the buildings are symbolic. And we actually play our interiors on a different table, so not a big deal. And sometimes I'll play interiors behind whichever building we're playing, but we don't quite have enough space here because the town's taking quite a bit of space. So, and the only real issue with any of this is it's more of a Victorian look. I don't know if you can tell from the architecture and the dress. Probably can't see the figures very well from that far away, but it's a Victorian. They're dressed Victorian, and it's definitely a Victorian era. It looks to me to be anyway. So it's definitely not something we have typically in our game. So it is kind of it's almost like a time warp. So I utilize anything I can get for, well, not anything. I utilize anything I can get for free or relatively cheap, as long as it goes along with the story, or as long as I can utilize it in part of our story. So I was really happy to take advantage of this. She was more than happy for me to just use them, however I like to. And I picked up a lot of figures, about 10 buildings, quite a few buildings. And it makes a nice little wintry scene, a nice little town. So I was pretty happy with that. And I think the scale is not going to be that big of a deal. They understand, our kids understand, symbolism. So they're okay with it. They think it looks great. And I'm going to work the whole Victorian theme in, the Victorian look. There's actually a reason why. So we do have some steampunk in our storyline, so in our theme. So it kind of goes along. Of course, the thing that took the most time was me trying to figure out. I like having unique names for my NPCs. It's just one of my things, and I decided I would go ahead and put name labels on the bases of these figures. This is Gibson. So usually they have all these guys have unique names, and so it's going to be fun. I mean, and it works pretty well when they walk up and talk to them. If I can't remember, I'll say, "Oh, Gibson says hello," and and then role play Gibson. A lot of times I'll use the entire dining room table, or whichever table I'm at. We actually have about 3 tables we can use, and I will actually just, a lot of times I'll cover the whole table with a scene if I have enough terrain. So, and in this case, I just had enough, and I made some scatter terrain to go along with this as well. I probably can add a little more to it, but I think it's good enough for starters. So, obviously, I bought this. This is Lamax. I bought this from a thrift store. So, these 4 pieces here came with tons of trees. I was really happy with all the trees it came with, and I was able to utilize the trees in the scatter terrain pieces that I made. The scatter terrain pieces were really easy to make, and I'll actually have a video soon about those. But basically, it's just wood that I've cut and drilled holes into for the extra trees that I had, and placed fabric over it, and taped it on the bottom, and bam, there we go, scatter terrain piece, just like that. Not probably the prettiest thing in the world, but I don't like the idea of having 50 different scatter terrain pieces, each painted differently, and storage might become an issue after a while. So I think I think it's pretty smart to use fabric or something if you're not real worried about the tiniest details, and then you can just use different fabric for different scenes. So I can use a tan fabric for a desert terrain. I can use maybe a gray with some texture on it for a rocky terrain, and so forth and so on. And obviously I'd have to use different trees for, or maybe no trees at all, for a desert terrain and so forth and so on. So anyway, they're going to work from the town into this area here on up into the mountains as they go through investigating and trying to solve the quest and complete the mission. So once they arrive in this area, it'll be more combat oriented. So so a little more room to work with over here, and we'll have different ways we can. There'll probably be a cave over here somewhere that they can enter, and then there will be a cave scene that we'll be able to go to. So a lot going on with this scene. Using this as a backdrop, I was able to find this in one of the kids' rooms we were cleaning out, and I think it works pretty well. It's mountainous terrain. The trees on either side are a little bit big for the scene, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. A nice, pretty lake and snow-capped mountains in the background. So it works really well to tie in and work as a backdrop, for this scene. So it's a nice little winter scene. Didn't have to do much with this. All you have to do is set it up, put the trees in it, it's ready to go. Lots of extra trees. I guess I got lucky on that because you see all the trees here. That's a lot of trees. And so, yeah, I was able to utilize all those trees and 4 extra scattered terrain pieces I was able to make out of some scrap wood I had and some scrap material I had too. So, good stuff. If you would, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks.